What you smoking? What's the go-to Bobby Liebling pack?
The cheapest ones they have right now.
Newports.
Let's see, they're called Eagle 120s or Eagle 20s.
All right, this
They're in a
maybe you
blue
can get like
pack,
a
and
partnership with them.
yeah, right.
They can help fund the next Pentagram record.
I smoke enough of them. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, listen, Bobby, it's nice to
Can I
have you
curse
on.
on here and that kind of stuff?
Bobby, you can say whatever the hell you want, whatever the fuck you want.
Well, fuck you, piss cunt.
Yeah. Do the Carlin bit, 7 dirty words.
What video anyway? The hell with you, goddammit.
All right, so Bobby, it's nice having you on. So I just want to start with this. All right, what are some of your
Okay.
big? And we're gonna start going a little way back. All right. What are some of your
Yeah.
biggest musical inspirations? And I guess it doesn't have to be old. It can be modern ones as well.
Well, as a matter of fact, there aren't any modern ones. My biggest musical inspirations kind of go back into the 60s, which is kind of when I came towards teenage years and started playing in a band. You know, in 1966, I was playing 3 nights a week. So,
Shades of Darkness,
uh,
right?
yeah, yeah, cover band. I'm playing for all Army enlisted and draftees going to Vietnam and stuff like that.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you did like Iron Butterfly, I think.
yeah,
Hendrix.
we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
Iron Butterfly and Cream and Hendrix and all the early stuff. Blue Cheer stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know you like the Groundhogs too, right?
I love the Groundhog. I
Yeah.
think the Groundhogs are the only. This is just my opinion, of course, but I think the Groundhogs is the only 100, and I say 100 specifically. They're the only 100% original band. There are
Wow.
songs by the Groundhogs that I absolutely can't figure out what the hell T.S. McPhee is doing on guitar, no matter how hard I try. First of all, the guy doesn't use a pick, so he's plucking lots of, 3 and 4 string things out. But to envelop the chord progressions the way they did so ingeniously, and make them become a song is astounding to me. I've got the most respect for them.
Extremely
He's one of the
underrated.
best writers ever. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they have a lot of blues in their stuff too, but that's basically in the early days of them, and then later on they moved into some really weird stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
I love the Groundhog. I
did
also I also love a band called the Bonnewell Music Machine. The Bonnewell Music Machine, which are better known as just the Music Machine. Sean Bonnewell was the lead singer and the leader of the band. They had their first hit was Talk Talk in 1966 or 7, 6. Yeah. And their second hit was called The People in Me. Sean Bonnewell is like on the biggest bummer downer trip. If you like that kind of rock music, which I seem to fancy for some reason,
some reason.
and yeah, the despair in it, I like that.
Yeah.
It's
Awesome.
pleading.
Did they contribute to you wanting to be like a singer, or was that just an internal, like always destined thing?
Well, I started singing in front of people when I was a year and a half old. Uh, my
Wow.
parents used to stand me on top of a jukebox at a little deli where they used to eat sometimes, and people would put money in the jukebox, and I know all the words to the songs at a year and a half.
A year and a half. People weren't even talking at a year and a half, and you're
It's pretty
you're
weird.
already
I
a
know.
singer.
I know. So I guess it kind of came naturally. I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
I'm not
awesome.
trained, that's for sure. You know.
Yeah, so you have such a unique voice, and even like through all these years, like even like the '60s and from now 2015, um, your voice is just so iconic and it's always like amazing, so awesome. Do you have like a pre-show
Okay.
ritual? Do you do warm-ups, or is it just always ready
I
to
do
go?
nothing.
Nothing.
I stomp my boots on the ground and go dunk 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 because I'm getting ready to like kind of I'm trying to make a little extra adrenaline and to just get ready to walk up on the planks, and
Yeah.
do the thing.
So you're just always
Yeah,
ready to go. Ever since one and a
I
half.
guess, or never ready to go, whichever way you want to look at it.
Now,
You know,
so you have a lot of awesome lyrics. And what are like the biggest themes you pull from? Because you pull from a lot of occult stuff. Like like the band's
um,
literally called Pentagram.
yeah, but the stuff is it's not so much with the occult, other than it is just dealing with the choice we have to make, which is only two ways you can go, up or down, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you can float sideways your whole life in limbo, but that doesn't work real well, and which I've kind of found out in later life. But
Yeah.
you kind of you know, it's not really the occult. It's just making a decision, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, and then that's great to hear. And a lot of people like to pair Pentagram with very like occult themes, where
Right.
like any
Well, of
satanic
course, the
panic,
name. I mean,
yeah, yeah, and like the
yeah.
pentagram on the cover as well. Well, not on the
Right.
original one, but
Right. Well, we didn't like the covers, the original first two albums when they were re-released with the same cover and just one silver and one gold. It was pretty,
literally, yeah.
yeah, they kind of slacked on that, but I've been thankful though. Peaceville have been pretty good to us all through these years.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Now,
and
like I was saying with this whole like with occult stuff, has the satanic panic ever been like a real big issue with the band? Black Sabbath, I know, almost
mm,
changed their name because people kept
uh,
associating them with like satanic worship.
yeah, it became kind of an issue around 2010,
Wow.
uh, because I was like kind of uh, I was without a band right then, per se, and I had fired a couple of people and so forth, and I was looking for people to join up with, and I spoke to Victor Griffin. And Victor is very spiritual and very highly Christian, and I totally respect that. And he said, well, I'll come back and I'll play in the band. There's two stipulations. He wanted to have Greg Turley, his nephew, on bass again, and he also didn't want any satanic symbols on stage or pentagrams or upside down crosses, da 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 da, da which hey, they're just a marking with a pen and a piece of paper, basically. So I don't think that they're going to hurt you, but I totally again respected what his wishes were. And as well as I wanted to have him back in the band really badly, but I mean, I'm not a Satanist myself. I'm Christian, by preference,
Yeah.
not by birth. I'm Jewish by birth.
That's
Two
so
New York,
interesting.
Brooklyn Jews. My parents. My
Yeah.
parents.
No
Yeah.
pentagrams in the band Pentagram. I found that quite
Right.
interesting.
Hmm.
Now, it's very interesting with music now because to put out a song, you just have to press a button and Spotify kind of just shits it out.
Right.
Where back then, you had to like have a label, you put out a 45. So was Hurricane, was that your first release?
No, Hurricane was the second one. The first one was Be Forewarned, back
Oh,
with Lazy
yes,
Lady.
yes, yes.
And that was just, they were all demos. The first four singles were just demo singles. I mean, well, actually, the fourth one, Living in a Ram's Head and When the Screams Come, were just a local release. I mean, I took them around and sold them to record stores in, 25 and 50, at different various local record stores, and they sold them. And so, but basically, the first four were just demos.
Yeah, what was your first like 45 release?
That was before Warned.
Be
Well, you
Forewarned?
mean 45 released? Well, we've never had a 45 released
Oh, okay. So you just went
at
straight
the.
to a record.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, nobody wanted to sign us for the first four singles. So,
Yeah.
so I went on for about 15 years at the beginning before we got signed.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. That's very. I
Go
know.
figure, try to make it in the rock and roll industry in your 50s.
Yeah. Well. Well, you always say that. You always say that like it's the big thing, like trying to make it. You know, I feel like a lot
Yeah,
of bands and performers would even dream of like even 2008 with that with the documentary when you guys went back on stage, people went
2011.
electric
Yeah,
when they saw
yeah.
you.
The movie really helped out things immensely. You know,
Yeah.
thanks to Sean Pelletier and Damian Fenton and Don Orlott and Sheena at
Uh huh.
9/11 Pictures. 9/14. I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Couple
I didn't
numbers
say
off.
that. I didn't say that. Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, you
It's
haven't
1, 2, 3, 4,
forgotten.
5, 6.
Yeah.
It's between 1 and 0 somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. Is that like is that documentary hard? Was that hard to watch at first?
It's hard to watch now. I
Yeah.
cry a lot of times when I look at it. It's like, God, that guy's so pathetic, man. He's all fucked up. He's gonna die. Which people think at the beginning of it, it's like for sure he's gonna die at the end.
Yeah.
And then somehow I got through the wormhole and got crawl out the other end. I don't know,
And here
man.
we are on Facebook, you know.
Yeah,
Do you
pretty
talk to a
strange.
lot of fans on like Instagram and stuff? Cuz that's how we met.
I don't talk to people on Instagram except well, I prefer speaking on Messenger because whenever I try to abbreviate something on Instagram, it hits the send button accidentally,
Oh,
real easily on my phone. I don't know why.
yeah.
I have no idea, but I don't talk to people on FaceTime, which is Instagram's name for their messenger.
Yeah, whatever it
I mean,
is.
it's all Meta company anyway. It's the same damn thing. I don't understand the whole freaking thing, but that's how it
Yeah.
is. One second.
Yeah. Now I'm
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
and this is just like kind of a personal question, but where do you get your stage outfits? Cuz they're so unique and like pretty awesome. Like I saw
My
you in
stage
that
stuff is
I saw you in that like what's in my bag video and you're wearing like this purple
right.
leather jacket. I'm like, where do they sell purple leather jackets?
Oh, that's my royal blue.
Oh.
It might become out purple in the thing, but
Mm.
yeah, I got that from Straight to Hell,
Ah,
a
okay.
company which most people are familiar with nowadays. They weren't then. 15 years ago, when I got the jackets. They comped me a couple of jackets just to wear them on stage.
That's awesome.
And they did the same thing. It was me and Kanye West that first started the Straight to Hell movement for wearing their stuff and, sponsoring, basically.
What a weird. You and Kanye West, did you say?
Yeah. Uh huh.
What the hell?
Hey,
I
you know,
guess I guess that's so interesting.
he's got a hell of a lot better promo tool than I do.
Yeah,
That's for damn sure.
yeah. Now
But
you
my
have.
stage outfits, uh, there's one thing that you go back like when bands were a lot more flamboyant and everybody wasn't just wearing the backwards baseball hat, the cutoffs, the open sandals, and the football jersey on backwards, which I think is pretty schlumpy looking.
I can
But
agree.
myself, but I like. I want to give people something to look at when they go to a concert. They've gone to see a concert. So there's see, and
Yeah,
see is with your eyeballs. If they work, and thank
yeah.
goodness mine do. And I got most of my stage stuff was my mom's tops that she used to. My mom was a cocktail lounge singer in the early
Really?
'50s and toured with. Yeah, she toured with Bob Hope through Canada during the Korean War
Wow.
in the early '50s. Yeah, and so all of her tops were stuff that I just keep choosing and choosing. She had hundreds and hundreds of them, and I try
Hey,
to
it
pick the
works.
flamboyant stuff. And it's like back then, bands were a lot more flamboyant. I feel, and you could tell when someone was in a band. It was just like when you see people walking down the street, it'd be like somebody's all they just don't look in quote normal, and be like, hey, that guy's got to be in a band.
Yeah.
And I was very conscious of that, because I mean, when I grew up, rock and roll people were more iconic, I think. Not in a commerciality sense, but in a just a
Like aesthetic almost.
yeah, yeah. People idolized them. It was like you got put on a pedestal. It was kind of strange, but that's how it was. And
Yeah, instead
it
of
was
just
in the
wearing.
infancy. It was in the infancy of rock music still.
Yeah, totally, totally. Instead of just wearing like sweatpants and just whatever you
Yeah,
woke up
it's
with.
like yeah, if I wanted to see the checker, on his off day, stocking in the grocery store, I could go see that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see a band playing live on stage, a rock band. So I want to see something to look at.
Yeah, now what's your opinion on like hair metal then? Cuz that's like the biggest
I
emphasis
like the
on that.
hair. That's
Yeah?
it.
Like
That's it.
Kiss and
I love the hair.
yeah, that's it. The
I'm
perms.
a hair farmer from way back. Yeah, I'm losing most of it now, but hopefully with this Meloxin stuff.
Yeah. Rogaine.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever they've invented recently. God
Yeah,
knows.
exactly. They didn't have any of that stuff then, though. So I'm thankful that they have it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my
Now I do want to plug your band The Limit. All right.
ah
So
yes,
how'd that form? How'd you guys get together with that?
buddy of mine named Danny Roselle. He introduced myself and Sonny Vincent to each other. Sonny had never heard Pentagram. I had heard his stuff, and I was really crazy about it. And I realized through Danny telling me, various stories because he had tour managed for them and roadied for them and so forth for Sonny on tour. And he kind of let me know that Sonny's been through a lot of hard knocks. And I said, well, then that's my kind of guy. I mean,
Yeah.
knowing those ropes very well. And he hooked us up, and Sonny and I started talking. He had never heard Pentagram at the time. He listened to us. He thought we sounded somewhat like early Blue Cheer, and he loved Blue Cheer, even though Sonny's a committed punk rocker all the way down the ropes, But he likes a lot of heavy stuff too. And he said, well, what are you doing with it? I said, nothing. He said, well, why don't we make an album? We agreed, let's do this. And so then we got a couple of guys from Portugal, from band Dawn Rider, and we got Jimmy Recca from the Stooges and Ron Ashton's New Order on bass. And we went in the studio in Portugal. And we had, Sonny and I had never met until the day before we flew to Portugal
Wow.
uh, in person. We had talked extensively on the phone by that time, but Jimmy had never met him either. And we flew over there, and we had like 3 4-hour rehearsals for to do an album.
Wow.
And this is from total scratch. No one had ever played with anyone in the band with each other ever before. And we practiced the 3 days. Then we had to play a showcase in Lisboa, Portugal, the fourth day. And then the fifth day, we went and recorded the album, and we did that in 3 8-hour sessions.
Wow. That's wild. Just grind it out, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it was pretty nip and tuck, but it worked. And I'm real happy with that album.
Me too, man.
Uh,
It sounds great. Like that almost like
we're
punk drop, like that punk rock backdrop over your vocals sounds so good. Like especially
Yeah,
caveman logic, like just fits so
mhm,
well.
thank you. It's music with an attitude.
Yeah.
It's fuck you and the horse you rode in on, and
Now, what's the
it's
future
very
look like
attitude.
for the
What's
limit?
that?
What's the future the limit look like?
We're in the process of doing the second album right now
Great.
as we speak. Fabian D. Dahmers from Udo is going to be playing all the lead breaks, and he's in the process right now of getting that stuff flown in and quote, to the recordings. and then we have to mix remote between Portugal and the States, and
There you
pretty
go.
heavy process because he's in Germany, and you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we hopefully we'll get the album done. I guess late spring, and
Cool.
I'm hoping it'll be out this year. You
Nice. Do you
know,
have a working title? Is there a name?
uh,
Or is that yet to be
I
announced?
don't. Yeah, I shouldn't. Yeah, I'm not positive, so I don't want to throw names out there yet. You know.
All right, so I want
Well,
to.
we have a couple of working titles that we're
Okay,
using. Yeah.
cool, cool. And you said
So,
spring of this year, maybe potentially.
spring to be done with it.
Okay.
Probably won't get. Then it's got to get signed and released, and
Yeah.
because we did the first one with Svart out of Finland, and yeah, they did a fairly decent job of things, and it's just we'd like to get more promo for it in the States.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I
in Europe,
heard.
it was heavily. We did a lot of radio interviews in Europe and in South America and stuff like that, but we didn't do a lot of stuff in the States, and we'd like to get it more widespread. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I heard also it's just such a pain putting a record on vinyl now because it's like a six
Yeah,
month
the
waiting
factories
period.
are very backed up still.
Yeah, which is so crazy. I know
Hey,
this. I was talking to
pandemic
this
kicked
band.
everybody's ass, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Kicked a lot of us out of the game, too.
And it's wild that your record could get bumped by like Sony or something if like Beyonce's putting out a release or something like that's so crazy to me.
Yeah,
But I feel like it wasn't like that at
it's
all back
nowadays
then.
technology,
Yeah,
or as
stuff.
Little Rascals would say, technocracy.
Now, so we got to talk about some Pentagram stuff. So I do want to
Okay.
talk about the first record. Did you said it was like the quickest album to record?
The
Is
first
that
one?
true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, the first one we did in 2 weekends.
2 weekends. Why was it just you guys were really tight? Was it just budget?
We were really tight, and we were green
Nice.
for the most part. And we just went in and one after another. I said, okay, this one, this one, this one. And most of the songs were first takes. You know.
Hmm.
So it went really easily and really quick. We recorded it the first weekend and mixed it the second weekend.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
impressive. And it turned out
Yeah,
great.
people don't do that anymore.
No, no, no. Very unheard of.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the first record? Like looking back at it.
Uh, I like it a lot more than I did for a while. I was really down on it because it's a low quality production. It's pretty raw
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. But then I got to liking that too, because I like it pretty,
Yeah. Yeah.
nasty, and it is nasty. It's pretty. I'm impressed with it when I listen to it now. Still,
Yeah. I like and a
I
lot
like
of
it a
fans
lot
like
better than
that.
I liked the second album, which became one of our most popular albums ever, which was Their Reckoning.
Yeah, which
And
is the
I don't.
shortest one too.
Day
It's almost an
Reckoning is my
EP.
least favorite.
It's your least
My
favorite.
least favorite
Why?
thing. That and Curious Volume also,
Really?
which those two. Yeah,
We'll get to
they.
Curious
Uh,
Volume. I'm very curious about that.
yeah.
Um,
Day Reckoning was we wanted to do just to stack on a lot of extra guitars, and we were new at that for the most part. I mean, in the early days, like Under My Thumb was done with a lot of overdubs. The single,
mm,
uh, years earlier, but we weren't really experienced with overdubbing and stuff. And Don Fetterman, our engineer and so forth, at Q, he really worked us through it well, you know.
yeah. Was
But
was
but I
that's the straw that broke the camel's back right there? Was that the one where it's like, all right, this album needs to be reworked? Or is that it?
uh I don't know about reworked. It was just we had to well we did remix it for the Peaceville re-release of it, but it was just laying down the basic tracks too, but a lot of overdubbing guitar stuff, which took a little while, you know.
Yeah. Was there a Black Sabbath reference at all with Evil Seed? Because I believe you
No,
go
Evil
all
Seed
right
was
now.
about no, Evil Seed was about a young lady in one of the members' lives,
Mm.
and it's about her, the Evil Seed. He
Yeah, yeah.
at the time was going through a rough situation.
I love
So
I love that song. I also love how you go all right now won't you listen? And a lot of
yeah,
people
well,
have
that's of
paired
course
that
the
with
Sabbath
Sweet Leaf.
reference there.
Yes. Yes. Okay, cool.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, I did that very very purposely. Yeah,
Cool. I love the song Wartime off that one. I think that's like the best Pentagram closer in my opinion. Um,
Wartime's a good song. It's a real
yeah.
good song. I really like Wartime still. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we're not reconvening as a band until May this year
Okay.
to do any gigs. Matt Goldsboro, our guitar player, had to drop off, and now Victor's going to be playing gigs with us again.
Okay. All
So
right. Wow.
that's
All right.
we don't know what the schedule will be or anything like that. So if anybody asks, I don't know.
Yeah.
And we plan to do definitely first is West Coast because we haven't been there since 2016, and
Mm,
we plan to do like a West Coast run in May, and then probably starting in July we'll be doing a lot of one-off festivals around Europe.
yeah.
You
That's
know,
awesome. I know you love playing Europe, right?
yeah, I do
Yeah.
love playing
Yeah.
Europe. I love playing Europe, but nothing can top South America. Still,
Really? What about South
yeah.
America is the best?
South America has got the most enthusiastic audiences I've ever known to exist in my entire life. They go bonkers.
I've heard.
They go absolutely nuts. It's weird, you know.
That's awesome. You would say South
And yeah,
America,
I
the
mean,
dates there are your most anticipated?
South America is somewhere I'd like to get back to really badly. And
Yeah.
we don't have anything booked yet at all this year,
Okay.
concrete. So we're
Yeah.
just going to take it as it comes and see what happens and see how things roll.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course. All right. Well, I do want to continue this. So, Be Forewarned is almost double the length of Day of Reckoning. So,
yeah,
was that a
yeah. We
reaction to how short the last record was, or
A little bit, I
yeah?
think, and also we just had a lot of overrun time, and you couldn't put that back then on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't put an hour on one disc.
Yeah.
And the album, I think the album's 70 minutes long, or the
Yeah.
whole running time of both. And we decided, let's make it a double album. You know.
And you got, of course, the title track on it. What made you want to give Be Forewarned like a second life, do a second version?
Well, yeah, I wrote another version of it, kind of just slowed it all down and
Yeah.
made it more somber. And again, a lot of guitar overdubbing. Um, Before Warned has even more than Day Reckoning does. I like the song material overall on Before Warned. I think a bit more, but they're in the same genre basically.
Yeah,
Still
I'd say they are.
still the same old kick ass. Beat your head on the wall, go into a coma, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
Yeah, you just coined the new genre name.
yeah,
But so,
coma rock.
yeah, yeah. Review your choices is next. I love your vocals on this one. Is there like a certain vocal effect on your voice with
No, there wasn't a vocal
no?
effect. It was me like screwing around. Actually, like you hear like in Gorgon Slave. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, well, I want to make it sound like I'm slowed down, but don't slow me down. So I had to sing slowed down, and
You put a
I
natural
kind of
effect
let
on your
on.
voice.
yeah, and also on review choices, I didn't I didn't want to stick to which the first three albums very much had a lot of the Ozzyisms, and I wanted to move away from that and get into a different, format, sound, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and so I wanted to make a more variety of stuff, which Revere Choices has more variety as far as vocals go.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Joe Hasselvander was the additive, thing to that because we didn't have any band again then. And Joe called me up and said, "Hey, I just got an idea. Let's just you and me do it. I'll play everything." I was like, "Huh?" Which was worrying me at the beginning. I mean, Joe was not a guitar player back then. He was exclusively a drummer, and he just started playing guitar heavily. I mean, as far as with intention, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love Review Choices. Review Choices is probably my second favorite Pentagram album,
Yeah.
next to
And then
the
your
one
next the
after it.
next record is your favorite, which is how
Yes,
we
it
met
is.
actually because I reposted a song off this Sub Basement
Mhm.
about the famous sub basement you were living in. Um,
Yeah, that's pretty weird too. That's kind of a put on because he was even in the movie. Well, he was in his parents' basement for decades, and which is a lot of baloney.
oh yeah,
I've lived in about 12 different places in my life, and in, out. The door was always open here, though, my folks, and I
yeah.
came back a bunch of times.
You've also
You
lived
fall
on
on
the
your ass, you
road.
come back to mommy and daddy,
Yeah.
right?
And the road
Please,
also.
yeah, please,
Yeah.
one more chance. Hey,
And Out of Luck's your favorite song, right?
yes, it is. That's my favorite song that I ever wrote, as far as music and lyrics. Because I wrote all of that.
Yeah.
Out of
So
Luck. The reason I love Out of Luck is because it's just got so many parts in such a short amount of time. It changes every two lines virtually the whole song, but it still keeps its continuity and still has dynamics and stuff like that.
yeah. So what are your favorite parts of Sub Basement? What makes it your favorite Pentagram record?
Because it's so demented and so desperate and so bummed out. I mean, it's
Yeah. Oh
it.
yeah.
Well, I was in jail when I wrote the words to "After the Last,"
Really?
and in jail again. And yeah, we hadn't
Yep.
recorded the record yet, of course, and wouldn't for another year or so. But that was a suicide note that I wrote, and
Wow.
it
Jesus.
wasn't a serious intention, because I'm not like that. It's
Yeah.
just not my makeup. I'm a survivor and a fighter. I'm gonna
Yeah,
keep
of
on going as
course.
long as the Lord lets me.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's an example of that, it's you, definitely. You've been through hell and back, I feel like.
uh,
But Sub Basement's great, man. It's probably my favorite as well. As a
Sub
lot of
Basement is
fans as
just
well.
it's got a lot of fucking power. I mean, it's just balls to the walls from start to finish.
Yeah, there's
I
two
love the
covers of
material
that
on it.
too. Like
Hmm?
there's the guy coming out of the floor, and then there's one of like it's a skull, I believe.
Oh, you mean the picture disc?
There's a picture
Yeah, the
disc.
picture disc, which was released later. That was released, I think, in 2012 originally, the first issue of that by Smart,
Yeah.
and they did a very limited run, and then they had a repress of it, I think, in 20 or 22. I'm not sure.
Well, it is on
I
Amazon.
don't keep up with these rock things, man.
Yeah.
Who do you think I am? A rock and roller?
Yeah. Well, do you still have that kick-ass record collection from the documentary?
I still have a very nice record collection. It's stored somewhere very safely, put away in cartons, and that's for my little boy when he
Hmm.
gets older. And it's not here at all anymore.
Well, he's gonna be
Nothing to
very
look at
happy with
here.
that collection.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And
Well, vinyl's coming
that's
back.
What's up?
Vinyl's coming back. It's making a comeback. It outsold CDs like I think
Oh yeah.
four, 4 or 5 years ago, which is wild.
Well, CDs are like it doesn't give you the same that, like you said earlier, that aesthetic, you know,
Yeah.
look into. It's like holding the album cover in your hands. You can sit there and you won't put the album cover down while the album's playing because you have to keep studying all the little dots and everything, all the
Yeah.
pixels.
The lyrics. Yeah, there's a billion
Yeah.
things just to stare at. Is
Hmm.
physical media very important to you when it comes to putting out a release?
Um, it's very important because it's been forcefully instituted. I mean, you have to do it. It's not like something new that kind of just slid in. It's just the evolution of time and technology, and you have to use it now.
Yeah.
It becomes a necessity. I mean, I look at it this way: it's a pain in the ass, as you and I have spoken of off cam.
Yeah.
Uh, it, it can be a real fucking ball breaker. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, my phone, my phone, my phone, you know, and the downloading this and that and going through 8 steps that Google tells you can't remember the second step by the time you're on the fifth one. And it's
I
like, now wait
know.
a minute, now how do I keep jumping up and back to the screen to get each direction properly, you know?
Gmail
But
accounts, it is just such
yeah,
a
all of this
mess.
stuff is it's pretty befuddling to me. I mean, I'm a little older and I didn't think I'd see such quick advancement in such short time.
Well,
You
it is
know,
awesome. You are like kind of in it. Like you're on Instagram, you're doing stuff on
yeah,
Facebook. And that's really cool
yeah,
how you're kind of like interacting with fans in a sense, like reposting videos and pictures. A
yeah.
lot
I
fans
enjoy
really
that.
appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad because without the fans, I don't exist.
Yeah.
You
A
know, I mean,
lot of
who am I?
musicians I
I'm a
wish
guy who thinks
knew
he can
that.
sing a little bit, and other than that, I'm just this dude. Big deal.
Aren't we
But I
all
love the
flesh and blood
fans.
at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. I piss and
So,
I fart and I do all the things the rest of us do.
yeah. So Sub Basement's your favorite. So what about Show 'em How? What about the next one?
Show them how I love too.
Yeah.
Show them how was done, and it took about a month to show them how. We had to do a lot of retakes and stuff like that, and
Why is that?
it doesn't have near the amount of overdubs and extra guitars stacked on that Sub Basement and Review Choices do, but it's a whole band again. And it was the guys from the band Internal Void from Maryland and Kelly Carmichael, who's still a dear friend of mine, who I saw a month ago for the first time in probably almost 15 or 10 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's a guitar player. Um, Show 'em How has it's very personal to me. It's got some softer stuff on it, really. I don't know if that's noticeable, but
Yeah. It is.
it it does have some softer stuff like If the Winds Would Change and studio version of Last Days Here and Goddess, which I love, and you know
I
Prayer
will
for an Exit
say
Before Getting.
it does sound like you have a ton of fun making it. There's so many like oohs and ahs. Like it sounds like you're having a blast in the studio.
That's because I was uh, a little on the
Blasted?
blink.
Don't worry,
Blink, blink,
it's internet,
blink, blink.
so
Yeah, yeah, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. That's good about social media too. You can say 4-letter words and you won't get blipped.
Yeah. And those famous 3-letter ones too, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? The fans. That's the good thing about social media. Is it? I mean, for instance, I have a few people like in Russia every single day, 365 days a year message just to check in. And you couldn't do that stuff years ago, man. I mean, talk to someone in Russia. I can't afford the phone bill. Sorry, but different tune now. You know.
We're all connected, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Or
Yeah.
I'd like to think that.
Well, I think we are
I
cuz like
wish.
cuz I'm 20, I'm only 24 and we're talking. We're doing like an interview. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, yeah,
Like everything's
yeah.
such more connected now. It's not like I have to, hitch a ride to Maryland and knock on your door with a camera crew
Right,
anymore.
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, when the movie was done, that's all they did. They drove down here and followed me around with a handheld cam,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, that's how the whole thing was done. You know, and they just followed me around for about 5 years.
Was it 5 years that
Yeah,
documentary?
yeah. It took
Wow.
2006. They started the filming, and the movie came out in 11.
Wow. Wow. That must have been an awesome feeling when that finally released. After
Yeah, it
5
was.
years of filming and antics and everything that went on during it.
Yeah, there was a lot of crazy antics. What you see in the movie? Up, locked up again. I mean,
Yep.
goddamn, man. I can't win for losing.
Yeah. Now it did spawn Last Rites,
Yeah.
the next Pentagram record. What was it like going back in the studio after like everything that went on in that documentary?
Well, I had gotten sober at that time for a period of time, and Victor and Greg were back on board, and it was pretty solidly done. I mean, I really like Last Rites. It's
Me too.
kind of unsung to most people who listen to Pentagram, but I think the production is excellent on it. Uh, it was done in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we stayed down there, for a couple of weeks and went
Yeah.
through stuff, over and over. It's just, I think it's got a lot of finery to it. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I agree. And I think it sounds, for everything you went through, it sounds amazing. Like it's
Well,
just
thank
such
you.
an like you said, it's such an underrated record you guys did. And
Yeah, a
it
lot of
definitely
people
deserves
don't.
some more praise.
Yeah, yeah, and we were told that it didn't sell. That's why they reissued the CD 4 times because it didn't sell.
Wow.
Hey, it did, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't put out a product just over and over and over and over, that's not selling. It's like,
Yeah.
maybe you'll like it this time better. They don't do that.
That'd be crazy if they did. There'd be a billion
Yeah.
albums all the time.
Oh,
Like
there are,
there kind
God.
of already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Yeah, it's a different story nowadays, man. Everybody's just, you know, they throw stuff at you right, left, and sideways. A lot of garbage, um, a lot of half baked stuff. That's
yeah.
like, well, uh, I don't know if it's due to inexperience, which is part of it, I'm sure, and due to the technology of, well, we can change this a little, so things are reworked and reworked and reworked. But
Yeah. Well, it's wild now because people can just put out music whenever they want. Like people just, they
yeah,
can download something on their computer and it's like a little recording studio. They don't need a label.
right, yeah,
They just pay Spotify and their stuff just gets dumped online. It's so crazy now. There's such a crazy market that's so oversaturated.
yeah. I did. I had to when we were working on the second Limit album. Uh, it turned out like there's a dozen songs on it, and there were only a couple that the band was satisfied with. Um,
Really?
so I had to, yeah, so I had to come back and redo 8 of the 12 completely, and I did those here in my house with Sarah Abrams from Daughter Chaos. Uh, she did the engineering, and I just stood in my living room with a microphone. It was the
Wow.
first time I did that, which that was going to have intention of actually being committed to a record like that, because I'm
Yeah.
used to going to recording studios, formal, that are establishments made for that, and not doing it at home. I don't know how to do any of that crap. Thank God she did. I'd have been up shit's creek.
You couldn't do that in 66, you know?
No, no, it was one live take, and that's it. And you set up the mic,
Yeah. Yeah.
the mic.
Now it brings us to our latest release, Curious Volumes, where you said you do have some issues with it. Now I'm curious what those are.
The thing with Curious Volume is I don't think it has a good running flow. It's every song on it is complete mood swing to me. Um, it just doesn't have that continuity, you know. It like at the end of each song, it kind of leaves you dropped off, and then there's something completely turning in a different direction on the next song. I guess is the easiest way to put it. It's not that I don't like the album. I think it's got some damn good cuts on it. Um, I wish we'd have had more time to repiece it together because uh, our drummer at the time left the afternoon that we finished the entire album.
Really?
Yeah,
That's so
he
weird.
this was yeah, this was kind of I guess maybe uh predetermined by him or pre-thought out, but
What?
it was like I'm going to get this record done and I'm leaving and it'll be on there, which it's not because we called Minnesota Pete Campbell and we said we're in a bind. Can you learn an album like right away, quick? And he said sure, and we flew him in from Minneapolis to Baltimore, and we went into a little studio, and he had a day to learn all the stuff and
Wow.
from scratch, and he replayed all the drums on it.
Wow. That's wild. Yeah, there is I do understand what you're saying because you have a song like Misunderstood, which is
Mm-hmm.
such like an up tempo, like very
Punk,
high fast song. And then you have like
yeah, it's
some
punk rock.
more like slower stuff. Yeah, it's like it's practically punk.
Yeah, it is. It is to
Yeah.
me at least.
So I
Um,
do I do see that.
yeah, but not so misunderstood is kind of a fluke because misunderstood is first done um in 1982 on stage. uh, at
Hmm.
a couple of concerts, and we never really intended. It was kind of a half throwaway thing. It was just kind of fun,
Yeah,
you know,
like
that
a little
that
jam.
punky, review type of thing. Yeah, and we decided, let's put it on there. Why not?
Yeah, so that's 2015. How many years has it been?
Too
So
many.
yeah, too
Don't
many.
ask. Yeah, I
Right
know.
answer.
Yeah, somebody said the other day. So, I was doing an interview, Laughing Monkey Music with Sean, and he said, only 8 years between records. You, and Metallica, and some Iron Maiden or something like that.
Yeah,
Someone I forget who he named, but it's like uh, we're way overdue, man. I'm
yeah.
hoping we can get another studio album done,
So what's that
before
looking
I
like
hang it
right
up.
now?
Right now there's nothing planned, nothing at all. It's
Nothing
been
at
kind of
all.
a weird year. Mm-mm.
Yeah, tell me about
We
it.
we have we have stuff uh, that's ideas and things like that, but we've never really had a meeting of the minds and said, let's do this, and worked on it and so forth. I mean, last year we were busy touring a lot of the year.
Yeah,
Um, we did two U.S. runs and the European run and the South American run, and it was a lot of travel, so we couldn't do anything then. And then now with Matt's departure, uh, the only thing he was on was the Before Warn 2019 remake, which is
yeah,
just streaming
yeah.
only, and which I love. As a matter of fact, I really, really love that version. I
Yeah.
think it's fantastic. It's engineered real well and produced real well, and we recorded that in our basement where we rehearse.
That's so funny.
And
It's
Greg,
it's so convenient how it is to like record stuff now.
yeah, yeah, it's like, okay, let's make a record. Okay, let's do it. Bang, good,
Yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah. And you don't have to pay a rent fee or anything. You just do it in your basement.
Yeah,
And I love that version as well. Really good. Now,
thank you.
now that's interesting about Misunderstood. Are there any like Pentagram songs that exist that you haven't played live that you'd like to?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Like what?
Yeah. There's stuff. Greg Turley and I did a few songs in the like approaching the mid '90s. The first time he was in the band, and a few of those I still like to do. But basically, I'd like the next album. This is just me, but I'd like the next album to be almost entirely new stuff.
Yeah.
I'm tired of, I mean, Pentagram has become what they in quote call a legacy band, kind of, and I don't want to be an afterthought anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Well,
want to
you
do
do have a
something.
young
Here's
audience
something
too.
fresh.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
that.
And that'd be great. That'd be awesome. And it's really awesome that Pentagram has such a wide spectrum of age ranges. Because you do have like older fans, but you also have younger fans, even like way younger than I am. So that
Oh
must feel
yeah,
good
yeah.
at least.
It feels really, really good, man. I mean, our basic audience now, I would say, is 18 to 35.
That's awesome. That is so
And
awesome.
that's like 75% plus of the audience.
Yeah. So that must that
It is.
must be great. That must be really good. A lot of
It
bands
is,
can't say that.
right, right.
You know?
It's just longevity and stick to itiveness and wanting to continue carrying the flag, which I've done, and now this is 52 years this year.
And I believe that is because of the internet. Because before, how would people know about it? But now it's, you just go on Spotify, you just go on YouTube, and you're everywhere. Every
The
age
only,
range can discover you, and from any country. It's so wild.
okay, the only thing about that though, if you look at both sides of the coin, is getting signed to a record company means you got the pump, the push behind you, or you're supposed to if you've signed something that's halfway decent with them. And uh, you have I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, you have a how should I put it? You have a structure that you're doing that's pre-thought out, and shit, I don't know how to put it. I really don't know how to put it.
Hmm.
It's nah, just let it go. It'll come back
Yeah.
to me.
Like I feel like
I'm old, man. Give me a break.
no, you're gonna pass. Well, I
Not
feel like
fried, I promise.
well, I will say this. I feel like a lot of bands don't have that label pressure anymore, and can feel like they can just take their time, whatever.
Ah,
We'll get it out.
okay. You just reminded me.
Okay.
The thing about being signed to a record label is you do have the pump, and the pump is pushing stuff that you have done, and they have marketing and uh, you know commercial money to put in to push your product. It's like, well, you're saying, well, yeah, you can find everything on Spotify and YouTube. Blah, blah. How do people know it's there?
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't. And the only way they're gonna is advertising. And none of us virtually have the money to advertise our own stuff, not in mass media. I'm talking magazines, uh, you know, banners at stores, that kind of stuff. So to have a record company behind you can really benefit you because they let people know, hey, there's a product out and you can find it on dot 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 dot.
Yeah.
because you can put out your stuff on Spotify all year long. Who the hell's going to know it's there? How
Yeah.
they what you know?
There's an
Well, they got to
endless
go on
sea of just
Spotify and
bands.
grope around. I mean,
Yeah.
and hope you're on it. You know.
Yeah. Well, that is the issue, because there is just an endless sea of just bands no one's listening to, because it's so
Yeah.
easy to just put your stuff out now.
Right.
But yeah, yeah,
So
I
you
do
look at the
agree.
side.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
And I believe a label is extremely important. Now, I do want to touch on this. You don't like the term doom metal.
I
What
don't like doing
what
that.
would you prefer people call it?
Heavy hard rock.
Heavy hard rock.
Yeah.
Okay, heavy
Because
hard
we play
rock.
rock. Man, I'm a rocker. I mean, I'm not doom laden all the time. I mean, I write a lot of song lyrics that maybe have bummer stuff in them or downer stuff, but I'm not just doom laden always.
Yeah, I agree. You have some upbeat stuff.
Doom to me, I connotate doom with dead. And a lot of doom metal hits me that way. It's brain dead. It's music to get real stoned out and just sit there and vegetate and listen to it. A lot of it's pretentious as hell. It's without changes. It's without dynamics. It's just let's play one riff for 8 minutes. We'll get louder. We'll get softer. We'll have the lead on that riff too. We'll have the words on that riff too. We won't have any changes. We'll just keep plodding along until you're out.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like about it.
I'm not sure if you're
It
familiar with.
doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. Spark me. Doesn't
Yeah,
make me think.
I'm
You
not sure
know.
if you're familiar with the band Sleep. You must hate.
Yes, I
They
am.
have this band called. They have this album called Dope Smoker,
I
and the
know.
whole album's one
Very
song.
familiar. Very familiar. I'm friends with Matt, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's a good dude, and I've been listening to him since the first High on Fire album came out, and as a matter of fact, we played with High on Fire just last gig we did almost last
Oh
November
yeah.
in
Yeah.
Atlanta.
True.
Yeah, Atlanta Snowblind Festival, which I was really
Yeah.
happy with. We did a good job there. Um, but yeah, I understand where people get into it. I mean, it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair
And
enough.
that's that part at least I'm still entitled to.
Yeah. I feel like you have the right to say what, like, especially with the legacy and everything you've done in your life. A lot of people will call you the American Black Sabbath.
Yeah,
And I
yeah, I know.
totally agree with that. Like, you
Yeah.
took that
See,
heavy
now
rock.
that's one of the big reasons though that after Be Forewarned that I wanted to change vocally because it was getting too much. It was becoming Bobby Osborne sound thing, and there's too much Ozzyisms, which Ozzy. I love Ozzy and so forth, and listened to him, religiously since day one. But well, not of recent years, but um, it's not my vocal style.
Yeah.
Not my natural. My natural vocal style is completely very different.
You have a
Ozzy had a
very
unique
iconic
thing going.
voice.
Thank you. Ozzy had a very unusual thing going, man, because he had that high whiny voice with that low moany music, and it's complete contrast, in the two styles put together, and it worked.
Yeah. Have you
God
ever
bless him.
met the Black Sabbath guys at all?
uh, yeah, I had a run in. Yeah, yeah. No
Imagine
said.
imagine getting like Tony Iommi on the next Pentagram record.
No, I've only met one of them in person, and partied a little bit, and had a good time.
Who,
Uh,
if you don't mind?
the party monster of the band.
Oh
So
no.
whoever that may be.
I can assume.
Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any
Some of us
heavy?
don't know how to limit certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it. But hey, such is life, man.
You get stories out of it,
Hmm. Yeah,
if anything, and maybe some
right.
lyrical
Or you take it to the
inspirations.
limit, right?
Yeah. Are there any like I guess like heavy rock bands, like these more what people call doom bands you enjoy? Or is it
Nowadays,
more just like you said earlier, like just your influences and the 60s, 70s stuff? Yeah, nowadays.
well, my influences, although they come from all the way back from doo-wop music in the 50s, and then of course the Mersey beat invasion of the mid 60s with the British groups coming over, and our American Answer, which was a little more rough and tumble version of their Refinery,
Yeah,
to me. But nowadays, I like the band Head a whole
cool.
lot. I like Sonic Wolves. Um, they're from Italy. And let's see. Oh, I like Druid Stone a lot.
Cool.
Uh, Demeter's cool. She's really cool. And
Yeah,
I went
yeah.
to see them for the first time about 2 weeks ago.
That's
They came and
awesome.
picked me up. And yeah, and they were really really good. I said to her, I said, "You can be a star." Yeah.
That's
And,
awesome. Or do you
yeah.
know that band Coven? They put something out in like
Oh
'69, I
yeah.
believe. Yeah, you a fan of
Oh,
those guys?
absolutely. Yes, big
Jinx
time. I think
Dawson, I
that
believe.
I think Jinx has one of the finest female voices,
I know.
or
I
finest
know.
voices. Period. She's got an incredible, impacting voice, man. She means what she's telling you,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
and
because
just
she's a Satanist by religiously, and she's preaching her real deal to you. It's not put on. She wants to tell you these stories about this and that.
yeah, and it
That's
came
pretty
out in
cool.
'69, which is crazy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Both them and Black Sabbath had a their first song on the album is called Black Sabbath. And I feel like, yeah,
Yeah.
like her voice has aged amazing, just like yours, man. Like, especially with like, I've heard a lot of the stuff from your last tour, even the Snowblind gig you did. And it's just
Hmm.
like your voice is just still there. And it's crazy how you were telling me how it's like, well, I just, stomp my feet because it's, it sounds fantastic. There
That's what I
really is
do.
nothing you do.
No, no, I don't believe in that stuff. I'm very old school.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't develop this this contrived, stylistic, makings and so forth. It just, you get up and whatever comes out, man.
Yeah.
Hope it's good. Hope you
So,
like it. You know.
so what can you tell me? What's the future of Bobby Liebling look like?
Oh God. Well, I'm not going to get into the personal side. I've talked to
Yeah.
you about that. A
Yeah,
lot of
you
things going
have.
on in my life. Yeah, yeah.
We'll talk after.
But yeah, but aside from that, the future Bobby Liebling is. I definitely want to keep Pentagram going. I spoke to the guys just 2 days ago and said, "Are we on or are we done?" Because we've been so stagnant for the last 4 months or so, and everybody's on board.
Cool.
So it's like, well, let's start doing it again. And Pentagram will keep going as long as I'm alive. I mean, I'll probably, drop on a stage one day, but that's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
That's what I do.
that's how I see you going out, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a job, right?
Yeah.
And whether you're selling used cars and a guy gives you a hard time and you drop that on the floor room, or whether you're a factorial worker and you're stitching garments together and the sewing machine cuts your wrist and you bleed to death, or whatever it may be, we're all going to go out somehow, right? Only one ticket per customer, one ride.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yeah.
this next trip's booked. So Pentagram will keep going as long as I'm alive. I've done a couple of Bobby Liebling and the Rivetheads shows down
Cool.
in Texas recently. They went over really well because we played predominantly songs from Review Choices, Sub Basement, and Show 'em How. Uh, we played like 15 songs, and 11 or 12 of them were from those two albums, three albums, and that and the Demon album, which is early Randy Palmer uh, Pentagram offshoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did those two gigs, and we're talking about doing maybe some more one-off gigs. If we do them, they might just be around the Texas area, but
Nice.
we just have to see. And the Limit has no plans to play live, uh, although you never know.
Yeah. Or could fans? What's the best way to
Time is
fans
right,
to?
the contract's right, the money is right.
Yeah.
Hey, it's all about that now.
Of
The big
course. Of
machine
course.
shit. It sucks, but
It
it's
does.
reality.
Unfortunately, for fans, what's the
You don't
best way to
got the
keep?
bucks, then you're fucked.
Exactly. And unfortunately, that's how it is now. And with you, it's
Mhm.
like, oh, with all these projects, it's there's definitely a lot that has to go into each one, and it gets
Yeah,
tedious. And do we have this? Well, we have this. We also need to have that. It's a lot.
right.
So
Yeah, it is.
what's the best way for fans to keep up with like the Limit? Should they follow them on Facebook, Instagram, the website?
I guess on Facebook we've been quiet for like the last year on Facebook. There's a Limit page on there, and but we haven't done anything. The album was released now. It's been almost 2 years.
Yeah,
The first album. God, time flies, man.
I know.
Jesus,
I know.
that's bizarre. It seems like it was just last week, but
Yeah.
or last month, whatever. But yeah, I guess you follow the Limit on Facebook, and we'll be starting up the group again soon when things
Cool.
kind of get buzzing in the camp, and
Now I'm
it's
just
time.
curious. Would you have has Pentagram ever done like front to back albums live? Like, would you ever play like Sub Basement live in its entirety?
We did in 2015. We did Last Days Here tour, and Matt was in the band at the time. It was Matt, Pete, Greg, and myself, and we played the whole First Days Here album, the first volume, end to end.
Awesome.
That
That's
was the
cool.
stage set. But some of the songs don't go over great live, so it
Hmm.
was like, well, this is not really working.
Really? Like which?
I
I
don't like
can't imagine. Like which ones?
Walk in the Blue Light doesn't go over well live.
Hmm.
Uh, I love the song. I'm proud of the song, and it's one of my older ones. Uh, but there's a few like that just kind of don't keep the rev going, keep the
Yeah.
motor.
Some bands usually have just those songs that just don't translate in a
Yeah.
live setting. Yeah, which makes
Hmm.
sense. But yeah,
Hmm.
Bobby, thank you so much for doing this. I really
You're very,
appreciate
very
it.
welcome.
You
You're
can
very
Bobby's
welcome.
on Instagram. You're on Facebook also.
Yes, on Instagram, I'm Bobby.Liebling.81.
Yeah. All right, you
All
had
the
that
crazy
memorized, not
handles.
me.
God, all the handles on Instagram are nuts.
So many, so many.
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
I guess just give you your choice.
Maybe I can
Here's
interview
your
that
money,
guy
you take your
next.
choice.
Review your choice. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm Brandon Baddock, and this has been Disturbing the Priest.